Hi, I'm Molly with the Coastal Watershed Council, and welcome to our activity guide, Saving Water, Saving Fish. You can follow along with our activity PDF that looks like this, or you can just watch this video and follow along. It's your choice. In this activity, you will build a model to see how both fish and humans use water. You'll go on a virtual tour of the San Lorenzo River to learn more about steelhead trout and their habitat, and draw a poster about saving water. And you will need the activity PDF, a clear plastic container, water, turkey baster or spoon, pencil, toy fish, or anything else that floats. We all live in a watershed. Steelhead trout and humans both use water. We both need water to grow and survive. So here's our guiding question. How does the amount of human use of water change life for steelhead trout? Steelhead trout need water to breathe. Their food lives in water, like this aquatic bug. And steelhead trout swim in water to and from the ocean to migrate. And of course, humans also use water to take showers and to stay clean. We use water to brush our teeth and our hands. And we like to play and learn in local rivers and beach. In fact, many humans get their drinking water from the San Lorenzo River. It rains, that water gets into the San Lorenzo River, the water gets pumped up, and it flows through underground pipes into an area where the water gets treated and cleaned up, and it goes back through those underground pipes again to our water faucets in our house. So we're going to do an experiment. Let's find out what happens to water in the river as both humans and steelhead trout need and use the water. Here's Sam. He's going to lead you through the activity. Hi, Sam.
Hey everyone, it's me, Sam, from the Coastal Watershed Council. Today we're doing an activity called Saving Water, Saving Fish. So, the materials that you need are some water. I just filled this up from the sink in an old water bottle. An empty, clear container. An empty cup. I'm going to use some rocks and gravel to make my river a little more realistic. You can use a turkey baster if you have one, but if you don't, you can use a big spoon for soup or just a normal size spoon if that's what you have to work with. Everything will work fine. And a plastic toy fish. But if you don't have a plastic toy fish, you can use anything that floats, like this old film canister, or you can try to make your own little fish using some crafty, creative materials.
Here's the list of materials Sam was talking about. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to gather all these supplies, and then come back when you're ready.
In order to begin this activity, we're going to fill this container up with water. This is going to act as our San Lorenzo River. It has rocks at the bottom, and are going to be filling it with nice, cold, clear water. Okie doke. And again, if you have anything that floats, maybe you have a toy at home that is a toy fish, or any other plastic toy you might have, or something around the house that floats. I'm going to use this fish because it's perfect for this activity, but again, you can use anything else that floats that you might have at your house. I'm going to put this little fish in the river, and you can see that the little fish is swimming around just fine. It's not scraping against the bottom. It has plenty of water to move around and swim. And that's because there's a lot of water right now in our San Lorenzo River.
Now, remember, we talked about many people get their drinking water from the San Lorenzo River.
So, what's one way you can think of that we use water? Well, I know that I like to take a nice shower to keep myself nice and clean. So if you take a shower or a bath, I want you to use your spoon to take out 5 different scoops of water and use it to fill your cup. So we'll take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you think of other ways that we use water?
So now's a good time to pause the video. Think of at least 3 ways you use water. Then remove water from your river just like Sam did. Return to the video once you've done those 2 steps.
And that's my last scoop of water for another reason that I use water at home and that we use water as a community. So with the showers and the hand washing and the water that we drink and the water we use for our gardens and the water we use to wash our cars, all of that water comes from the San Lorenzo River.
Alright, so it's time to think. What did you notice? Is there more or less water in the river? And what is happening to the fish?
River. And you can see in my San Lorenzo River, my fish is out of the water, it's scraping against the rocks.
So in Sam's model, and my guess is in yours as well, there's very little water in the river. Sort of like this picture here. Would it be possible for steelhead trout to swim in that water? My guess is probably not. So we should do something about that, right? Sam, tell us more.
Now, in order to protect our San Lorenzo River, there's something that we all can do, and it's called water conservation. To conserve something means to use just a little bit of it so that there's a lot to go around for everything else. So let's think of some ways that we might be able to conserve water as people. How can we save water and use less water? I have an idea. What if we take a 5-minute shower instead of a 15-minute shower? That's going to be a lot less water that we use for our showers, which means there's going to be more water left in the river for the fish. So, if you think that you at home can take a shorter shower, why don't you go ahead and add some water back into the San Lorenzo River? Because when humans save water, humans are also saving fish. What are some other ways at home that you think you might be able to save water? What if we turn the sink off when we're brushing our teeth? That's a great way to start saving water at home. If you think that's an action that you and your family might be able to take, why don't you go ahead and add some more water to the San Lorenzo River? As you come up with more and more ideas on ways that you can save water, you can scoop and scoop and scoop more and more water into the San Lorenzo River.
Go ahead and pause the video and think about some other ways you can save water and then add that water back into the river. Welcome back. So look at your river and let's think about this. When humans save water, what happens to the fish? Go ahead and write your ideas down or draw what you saw happening to the fish as the water level was rising.
But the more water we save, the happier our fish are and our wildlife are for all the years to come.
When we save water and take less water out of the San Lorenzo River, the water level looks like this. Now, could you imagine a smolt or a spawner swimming back upstream to spawn, swimming in this? I do. Great work, everyone. Let's take a mind break. So everyone stand up and stretch, and let's shake it out. All right, let's go on a virtual tour. We're going to join Sam at the San Lorenzo River, and we're going to learn more about steelhead trout and their habitat.
Hey folks, it's me, Sam, with the Coastal Watershed Council. You may have heard tons of people around town talking about steelhead, which are an amazing type of fish that live here in our San Lorenzo River. They start as eggs, they hatch into these little tadpole-looking things called alvin, and then they start a great migration. The next stage is fry and smolt, and then they head out to the ocean as adults. Now, we're here along the San Lorenzo River in Santa Cruz, and I wanted to share with you some questions. If you were a fish, a steelhead trout, why would trees be important to you? Fish don't eat trees, fish don't make nests in trees, fish don't climb trees or swim up trees, so why would a river have trees, and why would those trees be so important to steelhead trout?
All right, so here's the question. Why are trees important to steelhead trout? Share your ideas with someone else or write them down. Heads up, you have about 10 more seconds to think.
So trees are important to steelhead trout because they provide shade over the river, which helps keep the water cold, and steelhead trout thrive in cold water. There are also lots of bugs that live in these trees, and when those, on a gusty, windy day, if those bugs fall off the tree and land in the river, guess what? That's super delicious food for steelhead trout. So that's just a couple of reasons why these trees are super important for the fish in our river ecosystem. If you've ever wondered how a tiny young steelhead trout, before it grows up, is able to live in a fast-moving river like you see behind me, I always wonder, where are the places that maybe the water isn't moving so fast? Or where are some places that these fish might be able to hide and get out of the main fast flow of the river channel?
So let's look around. Where in the river might be a safe space for our young fish to hide? Heads up, we have about 10 more seconds to observe. Let's find out. What does Sam say?
These fish might be able to hide and get out of the main fast flow of the river channel. So I look around to see where the water looks a little slower, and in fact, right over here next to me, you'll see where there's some vegetation and a small island in the middle of our river, and the water down here is deep, but it's also moving very slowly. So any fish that get tired, or any fish that are too small to withstand the fast-moving main stem current, can find these little areas, these little eddies, where the water is swirling instead of rushing them straight out to the ocean.
So Sam showed us that there's a lot of habitat for our steelhead trout here at the San Lorenzo River. Now, in the past, we used to have way more fish in the river than we do now. In fact, Santa Cruz and San Lorenzo River was one of the most famous places to go fly fishing in California. But over time, we've seen less and less fish. Let's think for a second. Why do you think there might be fewer steelhead trout in the San Lorenzo River right now? Seconds to think. That's a tricky one, isn't it? Well, here's a hint. It has to do with how much water is in the river. Now, recently, we've had a lot of storms, so we've seen some floods by the San Lorenzo River. But also, over the last 10 years or so, we've seen drought, where there's been very little water in the San Lorenzo River for year after year. And that has made it hard for the steelhead trout to migrate. And here's another reason why. A fun fact, 100,000 people get their drinking water from the San Lorenzo River. And it gets there by rain. That rain gets into the river. And we have these pumps that pump up the water and transport them into these pipes that go underground. The water flows through these pipes into our water treatment plant, where the water gets cleaned up and filtered and then pumped back through these pipes, and they empty into our faucets. And we use this water to take showers, to cook, to drink water, and for us to survive. Now, obviously, steelhead trout need water as well. They live in the water, they need the water for their migration to and from the ocean, and that's where they find the food, in the water. We all live in a watershed, and we all need water. So here's the question. What can we do to make sure that all of us have enough water, and that all of the steelhead trout have enough water to survive? more seconds to think. So there's a lot of great answers, and the one I'd like to talk about is the one we've been exploring together for this activity, saving water. So did you write down some ideas before? Go ahead and share those with someone else. Or if you still need some time to write down 2 ways we can save water, go ahead and do that now. You're going to need that later. Let's take another mind break. So again, stand up and stretch and shake it out. Alright, I bet you have some great ideas about how we can save water. So once this video finishes in a few seconds, go ahead and do your final project here. You're going to create a poster, or maybe you'll want to make a video teaching other people about how we can save water for both ourselves and for steelhead trout. Maybe it's turning off the water while you're brushing your teeth, or maybe it's taking a shorter shower. I bet you have some great ideas to share with others. So you can choose to pause the video to create your poster, or continue on to hear the final step of your activity. So your final step, my friends, is to share your poster. Take a picture of your poster, share it with your class, and then follow any additional instructions your teacher may have. It was so much fun to explore with you today. You can find other activities at the Coastal Watershed Council's website at coastal-watershed.org. And if you have any questions, you can email me at mbain@coastal-watershed.org. Thanks everyone. Have a great day.